Hi guys, welcome to another YouTube video. We're going to be making the beautiful top you just saw. I'm going to be using my Yeye yarn and I'm going to be using a 4.0 millimeter hook. So yeah, to begin, let's just get right into the video. So first, we're going to be making a chain of 80. We're going to be making 80 chains, and yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. We're going to be doing this till we have 80, and I'm just going to get back to you. So now that we're 80 chains, we're going to be making our puff stitch. To do that, you yarn over into the third chain space from your hook. Into the third space from your hook, you're just going to be making a puff stitch in there. To make a puff stitch, I'm just going to insert this I'm just going to insert it into the third space, pull up a loop, prepare for a double crochet, insert into the same space, pull up a loop, prepare for a double crochet, insert into the same space and pull up a loop. So I repeated this process 3 times, and I'm just going to close off my puff stitch and I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to be skipping the next chain, and into the next chain I'm going to be making another puff stitch. So I'm going to just repeat the puff stitch process. Insert, pull up the loop, yarn over, insert and pull up the loop. So I'll close my puff stitch, I'll close it off, and with a chain 1 I'm going to skip 1 and repeat that process till I get to the end of this first row. So now we're in to the last space. I'm just going to be making 1 double crochet in that last space. I'm not going to be making a puff stitch as I have been doing, and yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like. So to turn, I'm going to be chaining up 2, and into the double crochet, the first double crochet where we have the 1 double crochet, into that space we're going to be making the first puff stitch. In the next space, you're going to complete your puff stitch off and close off your puff stitch. Chain 1 into this chain 1 space from your previous row. You're going to be making another puff stitch. You're going to close off your puff stitch, and you're going to chain 1. So we're going to repeat this process until we get to the end of this row as well, and I'll just explain how you end your row. So now we've gotten to the end of our row, just finishing off this last puff stitch, chain 1, and then at the beginning of our row, of the previous row, we're just going to be making 1 double crochet instead. Though remember, we're not going to be making any puff stitch at the end of our rows. For row 3, you're going to chain up 2 and repeat the same process as row 2. Start your puff stitch from the double crochet space and close it off. Chain 1, and in the previous chain 1 space, make another puff stitch. So just going to repeat this pattern, the same one as row 2. We're going to repeat it till we get to the end of row 3. In fact, we're going to repeat it till I have my desired length, and I'm just going to show you and let you know how many rows I had to make, and I'll get back to you. With my desired length, I made a total of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 rows. I made a total of 15 rows, and I'm just going to be finishing off this particular row with a puff stitch, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Chain 1, and instead of a double crochet, we're going to be making a puff stitch in that last space. So we're going to be placing a puff stitch in this space, close your puff stitch, make a chain 1 and another puff stitch in that same space. So we're going to be making another puff stitch in that same space. That means you have 2 puff stitches in that space. For the next row, we're going to be chaining up 2 and turn your work. Make a puff stitch in that chain 1 space. Going to be making a puff stitch there, and you close off your work, chain 1, make another puff stitch in that same exact space. So we have 2 puff stitches in one chain 1 space. Chain 2, turn your work and repeat the process. In that chain 1 space, you're going to be placing 2 puff stitches. So this is my first puff stitch. Close it off and chain 1, make another puff stitch in that same space, closing it off and chain 2 to turn. So I'm going to be repeating this pattern till I have my desired length, and I'll let you know how many I made. I ended up making a row of 40 puff stitches to make the sleeve. Now I'm just going to be reattaching my yarn here at this point, going all the way down, all the way across, and all the way up. And when I get here, I'm going to be making another puff stitch chain. So I just reattach my yarn here. I'll place my yarn in this space, and I'm going to be making a single crochet all the way down. You can place your single crochet in each puff stitch space. You can make 2 single crochets. That's what I did, and I'll meet you when I get back to the top. So now I have my single crochet. I've been able to make my single crochet all the way across, above, below, and now I'm just going to be making this exact puff stitch here. So to do that, I'm just going to be chaining up 2, and in that space you're going to be placing a puff stitch. You're going to make 1 puff stitch, close off your puff stitch, chain 1, make another puff stitch in that same space. Don't forget, we're repeating exactly the way we did it the first time. We're making puff stitch chains, chain 2, turn your work, make another puff stitch in that chain 1 space that you have there, and we're going to be doing this for the next 18 rows. The first row was 40 rows, but this one is going to be 18 rows. Should be shorter than the first one. And yes, now that we have our both strands completed, I'm just going to, before I cut off all these threads, I'm going to show you how to lace it up. So to lace it up, you're taking the longer part of your puff chain, and we're going to be bending our work this way. It's supposed to look like this, so we're just going to insert this thread into that space there. We're just going to tie it up, and that is the end. So it looks funny now, but when you place it on, it should make more sense. This is how the front looks. I'll just place it on quickly and let you see how it should look. Thank you for watching. Bye.